Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest is an empowerment advisor, public speaker, and author. That's just to name a few. But some of the books she's written: The Journey from Fear to Love is Shorter Than You Think, and 10 Ways to Eliminate Drama from Your Life. Now, she joins us tonight to discuss her latest newsletter, Trauma Drama, and how it impacts you. Please help me welcome back to the show, Susan Goudy. Welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. And it's good to actually see you this time.
Absolutely. Yes, I think you were on years ago when we were just audio. So now it's good. We can see each other. It's there via Zoom, but we can see each other. So thank you.
Years ago, I would have had a lot less gray in my hair. It would have been.
Well, you can't really see it. It looks like it's blonde. So
yeah, well, that's good. That's what it's supposed to look like. I'm doing something right.
Exactly. Well, listen, I mentioned you were on the show before, and for people who are just getting to know you on our platform this time, can you tell us a little about your background?
Well, I have an MSW, Master's in Social Work, and my Bachelor's in Social Work. And I started out working actually with Child Protective Services way back when. And then when I got my master's degree, I kind of changed my focus and I started doing more counseling and things. So I was working with a hospital, for example, with the employees at the hospital, and I was doing one-on-one counseling also. And then I realized as I was doing counseling, it was kind of, I call it talk therapy. So I have clients come in, time after time, telling me the same thing over and over again. And so I started looking into some of the techniques that I had personally used to heal myself from a trauma from when I was very little. Yes. And I went and trained, and I learned how to do some hands-on healing techniques. So like the bioenergetic synchronization technique and Psyche. And those dug deeper. And it made it easier for me as a counselor also, because I didn't have to talk to my clients so much, because I was doing the technique with them first. And then they were having realizations and insights for themselves. And then when we did some of the lighter counseling, they were actually figuring things out for themselves, because we were going to the root cause within themselves. We were going pretty deep. And I had a lot of success with that. And then I decided to write a couple books. So that's what I've been doing most recently. I've been writing books.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned you went through something traumatic, and that was as a child. You were sexually assaulted, I believe. Do you think that's what helped you get into that, or that's what made you have the desire to get into the field of counseling and therapy and that kind of?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that because I was 2.5 or close to 3, and a 16-year-old neighbor boy had sexually abused me, and it was my friend's brother, so he was somebody I trusted, and it was totally, unexpected, and that was truly traumatizing.
Right. Yes.
And I, as I was growing up though, and being so young when that happened, things would occur that I didn't understand, like fears, things I was deathly afraid of. I was very afraid of my basement. I was very afraid of the dark. I had a nightmare until I was 27, every single night, that would wake me up, blood curdling cries. And I would be just pale as a ghost. And it was about what had occurred when I was young. And then when I went to college, I took a class, and it was on flashbacks. And I was sitting in that class, and I went into social work by my 3rd year of college, trying to decide what I wanted to do. But that class was when I realized, oh my goodness, I still have, stuff from what happened to me that was I was having physical pain. I had a lot of back pain, and I had a hard time even walking for a long distance. I couldn't even walk a straight line when I was younger. And I started to put things together that was what was causing some of the stuff unexplained, like why I would be so afraid in certain circumstances. So then, that was when I was realizing, as I was healing, then I realized I wanted to help others. And when I first worked for Child Protective Services in Phoenix, I was in Phoenix, Arizona. I had to tell my supervisor there were certain cases I could not take.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Okay.
Yeah, until I got in, because I was, I was aware enough and aware of my own self enough that I knew I'm not able to do those yet. But as I continued to heal, then I was able to take on, more and more cases.
Absolutely.
There's some people that think, oh, well, I had a problem with alcohol. So I think what I'm going to do now is go and counsel people who are alcoholics. But if you're still having a problem with it,
exactly,
I didn't feel like I was at the point where I could do that. So yeah, I had to kind of back off a little bit. So, but
Absolutely. I have a therapist myself that I've been seeing since like 2017. And I often ask her, how are you able to take on everyone's problems or hear everyone's problems? People are venting to you as a counselor and be able to cut it off,
right.
Once work is over. How are you able to do that?
Well, I learned from one of my teachers a long time ago taught me a phrase. And it was, I am an observer in appreciation. I am an observer in appreciation only. So it kind of that's something that I use, something like that, to remember that I wasn't a part of what was going on with them. And I was there to help guide them through and to help find them answers. And if I got wrapped up in it, and it became like I took it on as my own thing, I was no good to them. Right. So I think I was pretty disciplined. I also have 4 children and I somehow learned how to, I raised my children and I was able to separate myself from their things too. When, when there's times where they have to own that.
Absolutely.
And you're there to listen and maybe they're just your sounding board or whatever. So I did pretty good with that. I don't know. I've always had that capability. I think ever since I was a kid, because I was the one that everybody told me their secrets.
Oh, wow.
I was like, no, I don't want to know anymore. Please stop. But because I knew they could trust me, that I wasn't going to share with somebody else. So I think it's kind of natural for me too. So yeah.
And you talk about your children. I know you're a grandmother. I believe you just had a new granddaughter.
Yeah, we just had number 7. We had
Brinley. Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, Brinley Michelle, and she's a tiny little thing. She was 5'13" and dropped under to like 5'9" or something, 5'6".
Oh, wow.
But she's doing really well. She's
That's
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Thank
you. Yeah.
Let's talk about your books. I believe when you were on the first time, we were promoting one of them, but let's talk about the journey from fear to love is shorter than you think. Give us a quick synopsis of what that book's about.
Well, that book is basically all the healing tips I put into it. It's a self-help book, and it's the things that I used to heal from the trauma from when I was a child, and not really realizing what it had done to me until I was in college and then older. And I mentioned that I was 27 when the nightmare finally went away, and that was through one of the techniques that I went and learned how to do myself and became a practitioner in. I was seeing a friend of mine who is a doctor who does that same technique best, bioenergetic synchronization technique. And that technique is what the nightmare went away after my oldest child was about 2.5.
Oh, wow. So
right around the age that I was. And I was getting sinus infection after sinus infection. And I was like, what's going on? I'm a healthy person. I take good care of I wasn't getting sinus infections before.
Right.
I finally went and saw him, my friend who is a doctor, chiropractor. And I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And he started working with me. And with that technique, different words will come up and an age might come up. And he said sexual abuse between the age of 0 and 5. And I went, what? Like, I didn't tell him. And I was almost like angry that he knew what happened. And I was like, I never told him. He's like, no, I didn't know. He just found a by using my body as an instrument to ask questions, he found those words. And we went and did a balancing, is what it's called, and cleared that out. And from that day forward, I never had another sinus infection, and I never had the nightmare again. So wow. it was a memory. It was haunting me basically from the time I was really little. So I wanted to write The Journey from Fear to Love is shorter than you think. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize until I started writing it that it really came out of that whole trauma. And oh, wow. So the steps that I took are what I wrote into the book to help other people who've gone through anything like that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because you hear that, there's a lot of people have childhood trauma that they never address and how it shows up in their in their adult lives.
Right.
And so it's interesting that you had gone down that path of, learning and growing as a from an educational standpoint to a career, and then interact with the right people to help you come out of that.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about 10 ways to eliminate drama from your life. I know a lot of people, I think this was the book you were on to promote. A lot of people could use this. Tell us about this book.
Is this the one? Because I'm writing another one too. So I've got.
I know, and that one has a little bit of a title on it.
Yeah. Are you willing to share that?
Sure. Well, let's talk about this one. That you can tell us about the new book that you're writing.
Okay. Well, the first one I wrote, actually, I was writing for corporations and like universities, schools. It could be in high schools even. And it's 10 ways to eliminate drama, easy ways to be more productive and successful in your work and in your life. So. Okay. 10 ways to eliminate drama from your life. But that one is more of like, it's a smaller book. It's more like a booklet, but it's technically a book. And that gives the 10 steps, 10 easy steps. I've gotten great feedback from the human resource supervisors and that kind of thing, and different managers and different corporations saying that every employee should have it in their hand. So, but it's very basic, very simple 10 steps in how to eliminate drama from your life. So yeah, it's a quick read, and I've had teenagers tell me they loved it because, I mean, gosh, they run into so much drama with social media and, just in high school and I've had a request from a parent that the teenager requested the book because they're like, I need to get this out of my life. So they're pretty smart.
Yeah, just thinking that far ahead. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about the new book you're writing. First of all, give us the title. Yes, give us the title. It's
Drama, Bitch. 10 ways to eliminate drama from your life. So I wanted to extend on the shorter, quick corporate, nice, easy read. It's a great book. Right. But I wanted to go into more detail. So I'm writing more about, where drama really begins. And then I'm giving you the 10 steps, but I'm expanding on everything so that you have more information on how to actually really eliminate drama from your life permanently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's been a lot of fun. I have 11 chapters to write. I think I'm in the middle of chapter 5, so I've got some work to do, and I've got a publishing house looking at it. So we'll see. Okay. We'll see what happens. So
you have to come back on and tell us all about this book. I like the bitch part.
Yeah. Well, and I like that. I hope people will read the introduction in that, because it gives them background and things that we don't think about, like where does drama really start? And I mean, like, if you think about, like, my daughter just had a baby. When a woman is pregnant, there's a lot of drama around a woman being pregnant. People who come up and just say stuff to you, you don't even know who they are, and they decide they can give you their information that you haven't even asked for.
Right.
Solicited information about all the different dramas and traumas and things that they've gone through. And you're going, I don't want to hear this. I mean, but if a woman feeds into that, or if there's drama where she, is living herself or where she came from, the drama starts, while you're in utero. And then if there's any drama, event, Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about if a woman is pregnant, he has a video he shows, and the woman is pregnant and the husband and wife get into an argument, and they show the baby in utero jump from the noises, from the, like it just from the, because there was anger, and they show the emotional response of the baby in utero. So drama starts there possibly, or in your home you grew up in, or wherever, school. So
yeah. And some people seem to only exist in drama. Like I was talking to a woman at work, and she was telling me, and I won't say this being dramatic, but she was saying that with her husband, he's so calm and laid back, and sometimes she wants him to fight back with her,
right?
And he doesn't. And she's like, come on, give me a little something. I mean, the fact that she desires that.
Yeah, that's because it's exciting and it's emotional, and it's actually can be a lot of fun. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, when you're younger, I think, preteens and teens kind of create drama. Right. It can be entertaining. It's an adrenaline rush. I mean, if you've got something going on, it's kind of like, and you can get addicted to it. Like you can be addicted to your coffee. And if you're used to drama being in your life, you're going to be constantly looking for, where's that drama fix? I need my drama fix. So,
exactly.
Yeah, and that's all in the book.
Do you think that's why, there's so many reality shows, but a lot of these Real Housewives or whatever city, and they getting a lot of heated arguments, that drama, and they get all these ratings. Do you think somewhere deep down there's a desire for that, or to see it, to watch it?
Oh, I think even me, I mean, even someone who's trying to avoid that, if you see something like that, you're too curious to see what's going on. What are they find out? What are they going to do next? And I mean, it draws you in. So, I mean, that's the reality TV. They're making tons of money on that, because even someone who wants to stay away from it, if you click that on, I mean, it's hard to pull. Yeah, you want to see what they're going to do. Like, is she going to punch her? What's she going to do?
Is the table being flipped? Right.
Are they going to start pulling hair? What's happening? I mean, so yeah, I think they totally they got that niche correctly, right? Very correct in order to get a lot of people to watch those shows. They've got a big audience.
They really do. They really do. Well, you talk about, you have a newsletter that comes out, and but your latest one is a trauma drama. And so I was reading it, and you were talking about how people will associate things that aren't really that traumatic, maybe a little dramatic or, a little uncomfortable, but they're calling it trauma, and how the effects that can really have on you. Can you talk about that? Yeah,
I mean, trauma didn't used to mean what it means today. And trauma, I mean, the word itself, the definition is that it's a deeply distressing or disturbing experience, or maybe a personal trauma like the death of a child. That's what trauma defined is. Right. But now it's being used as the go-to word for anything. I don't know, somebody ghosted me on text messaging. Oh my God, I'm so traumatized. Or somebody said something not so nice about me at work. It's so traumatizing. And it's changed. The meaning has changed. And I think back to like what happened to me as a child. If trauma meant, if the concept had changed and meant what it does today back then, I don't know if I would have been able to heal and move forward and take my power back, because it's changed so dramatically. I mean, there was an article that I think I wrote, I talked about, I have to put my glasses on. Let me see my notes here. But there is Lisa Barbush had written an article, and she said, trauma is a word that is reserved for experiences that are in fact distressing and disturbing. However, there is also the necessary component for it to be really traumatic, that the person is unable to cope, that it exceeds their ability to actually cope with what's going on. So but that's not how it's being used anymore. Right. I mean, you can cope with your friend ghosting you on text messaging, or somebody saying something or even a breakup. you can cope with that. We have the ability as human beings to do that, but the whole definition is, it seems to have changed.
Exactly.
You hear it all the time, right?
You do, you really do. And so the idea is that if we're associating these smaller inconveniences or challenges to trauma, we're innately adding that to our lives, what the real definition of trauma is. Is that correct?
Yes. And we're making things that are minor situations much bigger than what they really are. I mean, it's being inaccurately used to explain something that's minor, to say I'm traumatized by it. So it's and people, because we're doing that, then people become victims to it, because like here, let's do it. Here's an experiment I came up with for you to do with me.
Okay.
I want you to just say out loud, I'm traumatized.
I'm traumatized.
Now, did you notice and recognize how your body felt and how you felt when you said that?
I kind of moved when I said it. I'm traumatized.
Okay, now say I'm upset.
I'm upset.
Okay, do you feel a difference in like your being?
Yes.
Because when like I was doing this afternoon, I'm like, there's a physical and emotional change within your being when you even say I'm traumatized. Like I feel it all the way down into my gut, and I don't feel very good. But when I say I'm upset, even my posture changed. Like I was like, I'm traumatized, and then I went, I'm upset, and I just kind of leaned, relaxed. So yeah, it's totally changed what the word means, and then it also affects how people are able to cope with things and whether we can move on or not. And then they're becoming victims to things. Like I'd become a victim to what happened to me all those years ago. I mean, and I never remember anyone saying I was traumatized until I wrote the book. I was writing the book, and my editor and different ones were telling me, oh, you were traumatized. I'm like, oh, I was? Okay. Right. I didn't think about it. I was very young when it happened. Maybe if I were older, that would have been more what I felt, but those words weren't really even used around it. The focus was more on me being able to heal. So
yeah. Do you think it's, and not intentionally, but a kind of slap in the face when people are equating these incidents and they may be uncomfortable or disappointing to being traumatized? Because I was on TikTok last night, and there was a mother who was sharing a story how she was at a fast food restaurant and saw 3 high school age kids, and she could tell one of them didn't have money to get the food, but he didn't say anything to his other friends. Anyway, she ended up paying them, just gave him money and told him, hey, go get something to eat. And he went and got some food. And she said that reminded her the memory of missing having a kid that eats her out the house at home because she had lost her son. That's trauma. Right. That event that she experienced. Right. She's on the path of trying to heal, because she was talking about how she's trying to heal. So when someone equates getting ghosted to being traumatized, is that kind of like a slap in the face, someone that's really been through trauma?
Well, I think it is, but I don't think they know they're doing it, because the concept has slowly changed over time. So it's I mean, I don't even know exactly when, but over the last several years, it's been accepted among it, maybe a certain age group. Like for me, I'm looking at it going, you're traumatized? What? Right. So, but it seems to be used pretty regularly. And I think people are just getting more and more comfortable using it for things. So I don't think they're purposely, it's not intentional, but they definitely, I mean, like if that were my kid using that word that way, I would be saying, you're what? Okay, let's have a little chat about what that really means, because we're not doing our society any favors by allowing that to continue. It's weakening our characters and our ability to be able to cope with minor situations, just like we did the little experiment. Look what it does to your physical being and your emotional being. It's like, so what do you just go home and lay on the couch for the rest of the day because somebody said something mean about you? So yeah,
And it sounds like, they tell yourself to give yourself words of affirmation, in the morning, get your day going. Because I do it intentionally. I want to have a great day today.
Yeah.
I think what it does, regardless of what happens that day, you can handle it better because you're already preparing yourself for a great day.
Exactly.
It's the opposite when this is traumatizing and you kind of put yourself in that kind of,
Oh yeah, because then it totally affects your entire being, and then you carry it out like, I'm traumatized. Well, the meaning of traumatized and how you feel, then yeah, I think that's when you end up just sitting around in the house doing nothing and not, because you're so traumatized. You're not even trying to figure out what to do about how to pick yourself back up, how to take your power back and say, I don't care what they said about me or whatever. I don't believe that. So yeah, I think it kind of knocks you down to use the word in that way. So
absolutely. Well, yeah, it was a great newsletter. I was like, I didn't think about that way, because we don't, because things are constantly changing with social media and everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your newsletters, because I see you send them out. How often do you send them out, by the way?
Once a month I try to, except for if there's a baby born or something. Then
there's a baby, right?
I fall behind a little bit. They usually go out the end of the month or the beginning of the next month. So.
And how do you determine what you want to discuss?
I kind of go by what's happening, what's going on, what's current right now. So I did quite a bit on I during COVID. I think I talked about COVID. I wrote a whole 10 ways how to survive in COVID and continue to be happy and healthy and well and not let it drag you down. So that's what I do. And the trauma drama thing that came up because my daughter actually had seen an article on it, and because I'm writing the drama book,
right? Yeah.
This is like this. You really need to talk about this whole. It's Nick. What is his name? Nick Halsum. Haslam is his name. He writes about concept creeping. So he talks about how trauma, the concept of trauma, has creeped into becoming so much more than what it really is, and how that affects people. And then they feel hopeless and they feel like they can't cope, and they become victims, and how it's wrong. I mean, we need to stop doing that, or we're going to have a whole society of people just giving up, basically, because I'm traumatized from something so minor, like I don't like what my neighbor said to me or whatever. So
exactly. Let's talk about COVID for a minute. I know that wasn't one of our talking points, but there's COVID was something we all went through together. Many people lost loved ones, but it was just a very difficult time for all of us. But if we're able to survive, we're here today.
Right.
But you're still seeing seeing a lot of crazy behavior. People still, I guess, kind of adjusting to post-pandemic life. What is, in your opinion, how can a person kind of get back to those pre-COVID days?
Well, I think
emotionally.
Now I think they need to start doing things they used to do, because we can, we're not limited. And if they're still in fear about it, then they need to do something to work through that fear so that they can feel more secure and capable of doing that. But I think for the most part, we've gotten back to normal so well, pretty much all over the country. So if they could start go back to what they used to do before COVID, and they start putting that back into their life. I'm trying to think of an example. If it's like they used to take a daily walk or whatever, then they should start doing their daily walk again. Or if they used to go to a certain coffee shop, or they used to do certain things like that, they need to start putting that back into their routine so that they can start to feel normal again and realize that they can let go of that now and move on. I think it was really important while we were going through it that people continued to stay out of fear as much as possible. So, I mean, trying to keep thoughts of hopefulness. I write about a continuum of emotions and the journey from fear to love. So it's not in that book, but I write about it in other things. And it's basically that there's the emotions go across a continuum. And I say they go from fear to love. So all the emotions on the side of fear are more the negative emotions. All the emotions on the other side of where love is are going to be more the positive emotions. So I think the biggest thing people need to do is head toward the love side and start trying to feel those things, like feel hopeful, feel happy, look for the things that make you feel good so that you can live more on that side and get away from the fear side. And that's going to help more than anything to get back to normal. Because I think we were in a lot of fear. That was a big part of it. People froze and they became kind of like what happens with the trauma word when it's not used appropriate, like paralyzed and not moving on with their lives. So I think that's the most important thing. Learn how to live more in love.
Absolutely.
How's that?
Great words. Well, listen, I know you have a lot going on with the books and the upcoming book. You have to come back on because I want to talk to you a bit more about drama. But and also your newsletter. Where can everyone keep up with everything you have going on? I know you have your website.
Yeah, they can go to SusanGoudy.com, and that's my website. That's where the newsletter is. They can sign up for that. And since you liked it so well, hopefully they'll go do that. I've got to keep up now and make sure I keep good stuff.
Yes.
And then I'm on social media and my Instagram. If they just look for Susan Goudy MSW. So if it's Goudy, Susan Goudy MSW, you'll find me on Instagram. I think my daughter's running that. I think I'm the self-help expert or something. She titled it. So, and then I'm on Facebook. I have an author page. So it's just Susan Goudy author. They can find my Facebook page. And those are the places pretty much keep up with me there. And then my newsletter. So.
Absolutely. Listen, our thanks goes out to Susie Goudy for joining us tonight. Wonderful conversation. For more information about her books and everything she has going on, please visit our website, thestephenknightshow.com, and we will be right back after this.
Thank you.